All right, here we go. The Thursday, January 5th edition of the Carolina Weather Video, all about the incoming winter storm across parts of the southeast, including the Carolinas. There's a look at the tower camera from Greensboro during the 6 a.m. hour this morning. Clear, much colder, quiet conditions out there. Same deal down in Charlotte, Queen City, looking good at 6 o'clock this morning. Temperature at that point in time, 34 degrees. All right, there's your temperatures. Again, these were 6 a.m. temperatures. This initial batch of chillier air has arrived. It's in place already all across the southeast. And then here's some absolutely brutally cold Arctic air that we will be in the midst of over the weekend. It is going to be a very, very cold weekend. And if we get the snow cover down, there could be some absolutely brutally cold low temperatures. Now, let's take a peek at the winter storm watches that are currently up anywhere from central Alabama, northern Georgia, the upstate of South Carolina, and into the Charlotte metro. And winter storm watches, these will be undoubtedly expanded northeast a little bit later on into the day today, and then subsequently many of these will be upgraded to warnings as the system approaches. Now, initially, you look at the radar, you see that snow up in the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley. That is with an initial area of low pressure. That is not our big storm system. That's not going to be a big deal. That might bring some flurries, maybe a little bit of accumulating snow to parts of the mountains today, but that's not the big system. The big system is back here in Texas. It's beginning to organize. There's your highs this afternoon. Much, much chillier than what we had yesterday. Now we get into the day tomorrow. Here's that low pressure taking shape along the northern Gulf Coast, spreading moisture up our way. A lot of clouds tomorrow, and eventually the precipitation will arrive. There's that shield of precip sliding through the region then tomorrow night and into Saturday morning. Now, let me say it is still not absolute agreement between the computer models, some still a little bit suppressed to the south, but I'm getting more and more confident here as we go forward. There's the North American model. It's 6Z run, the latest one as I cut the video, that put down this type of snow total, snow footprint across the region. Again, take these numbers and everything with a grain of salt at this point. This is not my official forecast. I'm just showing you some model data. Here's the latest GFS, and boy, it went nuts. It continued to adjust northwest, and the 6Z run of the GFS really cranked some heavier amounts of precipitation in a whole lot of the region. And then finally, the European model from last night, it actually shifted just a little bit south and trended just slightly weaker. That was its representation of the snow footprint. So here's my updated probability maps that I'm going with on air today. Much of the region, very good chances of getting at least an inch of snow. I've got all the kind of red or pink shaded area there, and an 80% chance now of seeing an inch of snow. And then here's the 3-inch probabilities I've drawn up. Many of those same areas have at least a 40 or 50% chance now of picking up, I believe, at least 3 inches of snow. And here is the idea for accumulations. Now, this is definitely subject to change. This is not my final accumulation map. This is a preliminary map. And I think we're looking at something similar to this. Now, this axis of heavier snow could be adjusted north or south. I'm most uncertain about this area right here, the northwest Piedmont and the northern foothills into the mountains. It really depends on how much moisture gets thrown up that way. Now, I mentioned the latest GFS kind of going nuts here. Let me show you the trend on the last 6 runs of the GFS model now. So this is the last 6 runs of snow totals. And although there's been some fits and starts to it, in general, it has continued with that northwest trend. And let me find the NAM model. It's been much the same. This is the last 3 runs of the NAM. And again, it's been slowly kind of beefing up the precipitation in a lot of the Carolinas. Let me show you here the Canadian model. That's its latest run and its footprint of snow. And it's not as far northwest with the heavier totals as the GFS model was in its most recent run. So let me kind of step you through it. All right, I'll just show you the Canadian here real quick. All right, this is the Canadian valid early Friday afternoon. We get out for early Friday evening. There's the precipitation moving in. There's Friday evening into the overnight hours. There is Saturday daybreak, and then the system gradually pulls out during the day Saturday from there. Okay, some probabilities from the WPC there. There is their probabilities of at least an inch of snow, and here are their probabilities of at least 4 inches of snow. That's a 40+% chance they've got for places like Raleigh, parts of the Charlotte metro back toward Asheville. And now I did want to show you this. There's the potential of a glazing of ice, 1/100th of an inch of ice. Pretty high probabilities deep down into South Alabama, northern South Carolina. But I think this is a challenging forecast. Let me show you a close-up view of the latest, again, that latest run of the GFS. This was that 60. Well, hang on, stand by. Let me try that again. This was that 60 run of the GFS model. I'll get it positioned here in just a second. There you go. No, I'm sorry. This is the 0Z. This was the comparison. There's the 0Z run, and then here is that latest 6Z run of the GFS that really surged things back to the northwest with the heavier precipitation amounts. So now, overall, the GFS ensembles with its latest run that really beefed up those snow totals are in pretty good agreement, as you would expect as we get closer to the event. So again, this is a very challenging forecast. Before I wrap up the video, I'll show you how the latest European model unfolded. This was valid Friday evening as the system is beginning to organize rather, and here we go then into Friday evening into the overnight. Boy, this is not cooperating with it, but here we go Saturday morning around daybreak, and again the shield of heavier precipitation adjusted ever so slightly to the southeast with the latest European model. But we're kind of locking into a solution. Again, let me, if I can here, I'll go back to my accumulation idea map here. Let me see if I can pull that back up for us. All right, so again, least confident up into this area you see here, and certainly in the heaviest strip of snow, I can't even rule out somebody getting 10+ inches if the heavier model solutions do verify. And I've been looking at BUFFGET soundings. I saw a computer program to kind of analyze the model data, and doing some hand calculations here. I think we're looking at some snow ratios in some instances 12 to 14, even 15 to 1 here and there, which is a pretty dry, powdery snow in many instances, which means it accumulates more effectively. So it's going to be a very interesting system, still subject to change. That's the thinking as of now. And I don't want to wrap up the video before I mention this. This is my Triad Area 7-day. And look at these numbers over the weekend. This is brutally cold stuff. So the cold will be kind of the dangerous levels as the weekend unfolds too. All right, that is it for the latest edition of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.